Welcome back to Everything Whiskey. I'm Callum,
No, I'm Sam.
and today we're reviewing Glenfiddich 12.
Alright, so the Glenfiddich 12 is a obviously 12-year-old Speyside. It's from Dufftown, Scotland, and it's produced by William Grant and Sons. Now, they were founded in 1886, but it's not that important. They're just the details. We're going to talk about the actual notes. Now, Glenfiddich for the 12, it's a combination of two barrels. It's a American oak and used European sherry casks, oak as well. But then there's a third barrel. It's technically a barrel. It's called a tun that they put it in the final stage where they bring the two separate barrels together and they marry it in the tun. It's a custom-made, special, weirdly shaped kind of barrel. And that's what they put it in for about 9 months to marry them together. And then they bottle it. So it's at least 12 years in the two barrels, but then they add another 9 months on the marrying stage. So you're getting pretty much at least nearly 13 years. So and for that 13 years, I would say that this is a pretty good Scotch. Like we've seen pretty expensive 12-year-old whiskeys, but it's pretty affordable even in Australia where you pay a butt ton for everything. It's pretty affordable.
All right, so the Glenfiddich 12 is a pretty basic Scotch. It's only around 40%. And as Sam said before, it's pretty budget. I think it's about 60 Australian dollars for a bottle, which is pretty cheap in Australia. There's definitely cheaper Scotches like Johnny Walker Red and all that, but for what you pay, it's a really nice whiskey.
It's a fantastic entry-level bourbon.
Yeah.
Scotch.
All right, so I reckon it's pretty safe to say that everyone has either heard or had Glenfiddich 12 in their life. It's one of those staples at every bar, every restaurant.
It's always going to be at a bar. Yeah. It's safe. They've done a fantastic job with marketing. They've just done their job well in that front. They've really saturated the market. They're everywhere. So that's why I think it's probably a really good entry-level Scotch. The price, the age, what it looks like, it's always there. It's a good one to reach for if you kind of want to get into whiskey, but you don't want to jump into high proof. You don't want to spend a lot of money to get an age statement, and you want something that's pretty kind on the palate for a new palate.
Yeah.
Which is, we'll bring us into the notes.
Just before that, I just want to say, even with experienced whiskey drinkers, there's some pretty complex notes that you can pull out.
Yeah, it's not a boring whiskey.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the nose for the Glenfiddich.
It's very sweet and malty
and very fruity on the nose.
Yeah, really fruity, like a pear. I reckon it's kind of like a musty apple, so it's kind of like that's how pear smells and tastes to me, like a musty apple.
It's a really friendly nose. It's very approachable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it. I don't know how to. It's like a thin whiskey, but I wouldn't describe it as thin in comparison to other
whiskeys. It's a 40% whiskey, but it's not a thin 40% whiskey.
Yeah, that probably makes no sense at all, but
No, it does. I think if you're a whiskey drinker, you'll understand.
Yeah.
There's a difference between, you can have a 40% whiskey and be fine with it being 40%. I'd probably enjoy it if it was more than 40%, but...
so would I.
I'd still enjoy it at 40%. I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's got all those, the classic Speyside notes.
Yeah. I always thought Glenfiddich was Highland, but I don't know why.
We've just had so many Highlands, so you probably
maybe.
That's what I want to review. That's what I want to go back and review.
What?
I want to go by Highland Park and go back to that.
Yes.
Because we loved it, then we went off Highland whiskies.
Then we went off Highland, yeah.
And now we're kind of coming back to them, so I want to go back to it and see what happens.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I reckon we do the lineup. But also, I haven't tasted them since they swapped to the whole Viking
Honor
rebranding thing. So I reckon it'll be good.
I'm pretty sure the last one I bought was a Viking Honor, but that was a limited edition. That was before they went there.
I still have the bottle of original 12.
Yeah.
And 18. So I'd like to go buy the new run, the new Viking ones.
Yeah.
And we'll do a group review or something.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good.
Should we just jump into the taste on this then? The tasting notes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I already started.
Mm.
I reckon it's like...
It's
There's a
similar
lot
to
of
the
malt.
nose.
Yeah,
Then
it is
multi,
similar, except with more malt.
more malt.
Cereal
You get all those fruity notes with a bit of butterscotch and like kind of creamy texture running through it.
Yeah, there's definitely butterscotch and cream. There's like not much barrel impact, especially. I mean, like for a 12-year-old whiskey, there's not a whole lot of barrel. It's there, but very minimal.
Yeah.
The pear's still there. It's fruity. It's malty. It's light. It's not too thin.
It's very flavorful, probably to reach that wider audience.
That's how I'd prefer to describe it. Instead of saying thin, I think it's light. Like
It's a lightish whiskey.
And it's not very sweet for it's sweet, but for a 40% crowd pleasing whiskey, it's got like it's kind of like more of a dry white, wine rather than a, Moscato-y kind of thing. Like it's pretty, like that maltiness is there. It's not too sweet at all.
Yeah, I haven't touched Glenfiddich 12 in probably close to a year. I just got really bored of it. But coming back to it, there's a lot more complexities than I remember in it. Probably because I've been
more than a year for me, and I agree. I think our palates have kept developing.
Yeah, we've just got more advanced at the tasting and nosing and all that. It's actually kind of interesting to come back and have a look at these cheaper end whiskies.
All right, so Glenfiddich, it's I mean, we don't want to make this one too long because I don't want to stretch out a review that is not going to be naturally long. And it's not because this whiskey is bad, and it's not boring in a sense that it's, again, bad. It's not bad. It's quite enjoyable. I'm still not really into it. I'm not going to be reaching for this often. I think I've just kind of grown it. It was one of my first entry-level ones, scotches, and now it's just, I don't know, I'm really into bourbons and high-proof Islays, so coming back to a entry-level Speyside, it's hard for me to sit with it for too long without wishing it was something else, not because it's bad, but because I just, my tastes are not there anymore. So, but to new people, I would definitely say go for this one because you'll be able to achieve that, age statement, low proof, complex tastes, without the huge effort and knowledge you need to have, as a prerequisite.
Yeah.
So I still do recommend Glenfiddich 12 as a whiskey to buy.
I agree with you. I appreciate where the target audience they're trying to hit. And I also appreciate it for that.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, I wouldn't reach for this.
Yeah.
Because
because it's not good, but just it's not where we're at in this kind of your whiskey journey.
Yeah, we're into like the really high proof, complex whiskeys. And it's a bit plain for us.
That's not better in general. Like this is all just subjective opinions. So don't take our word for it that, what we're into is better objectively, because it's not. It's just what we're into at the moment. So, no, Glenfiddich is great. And if you're around that area, you're into those kind of whiskies, or you're thinking of getting into whiskies, then that is something I would go for well before you go for anything that we're into now. Because when we started, we wouldn't touch what we like now with a 10-foot pole. Like it's just not. You just don't drink that when you first get into it.
I hated Islays and bourbons, but now they're my only things I drink.
There's out there that only like that from the start, but they're few and far between. So yeah, Glenfiddich, big fan, but it's still at this point though. I think we're just a bit past it and we're into other things at the moment. So we're not going to draw this one out. Alrighty, thank you for watching this episode of Everything Whiskey. We know we kept it short, but we think it's better to be concise than to draw it out for no reason. If you liked it, give us a like, maybe comment your thoughts on Glenfiddich that you have for yourself. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter. Socials are linked below. We're posting at the moment about 3 times a week. Probably going to move to 2 consistently, but we're increasing it from 1 because we've got nothing else to do. Well, I mean, we've got got a lot of things to do. So we want to kind of commit more to just like uploading more frequently. So twice a week be expecting. So we'll see you Wednesday and Sunday is the current schedule. So expect Wednesdays and Sundays. That's for Australia. So whatever that works out for you in your region. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.